Hi everyone, welcome to D Note Spectrum.
It was the night of April 18th, 2008, in Dwaraka, Delhi, when Nitin Varma, returning from work, met with a minor bike accident on a deserted road. Hurt and unable to move, he tried calling his parents for help. He dialed again and again, but no one answered. Let us dive into that night.
Subscribe now and join us on this thrilling adventure.
Frustrated and in pain, Nitin reached out to his uncle, Vinod Varma's brother, asking him to check on the house and send someone to pick him up. The silence at home felt odd, but no one expected what was about to unfold. Worried, Nitin's uncle immediately sent a close family friend who lived nearby to check on the house. He also asked his son to bring Nitin home from the accident site. When the friend reached the Varma's residence, the door was slightly ajar. He stepped inside and was greeted by a sight that would haunt him forever. Lying on the living room floor in a pool of blood was Vinod Varma, motionless. Panicking, the friend called Nitin's uncle, who rushed to the house. As he moved through the house, his heart sank. He found Pushpa Varma, Vinod's wife, lying lifeless on the stairs. Fear took over as he sprinted up to the top floor, dreading what he might find next. He reached the room of Pooja, Nitin's pregnant wife. The door was slightly open, revealing a pool of blood seeping into the hallway. When he pushed it fully open, the sight confirmed his worst fear. Pooja was dead too, brutally murdered. It was now around 1 a.m. The friend and Vinod's brother quickly called the police, who arrived to secure the scene. Shortly after the police arrived, so did Nitin, limping from his accident, still in shock for what had just occurred. Upon entering the house and seeing his parents and pregnant wife in such a horrific state, Nitin collapsed. His pain from the accident now dwarfed by the immense emotional trauma. Nitin fainted in front of his father's lifeless body and was immediately rushed to the hospital for treatment, while the bodies of Vinod, Pushpa and Pooja were taken for post-mortem. As the family mourned, the police began their investigation, initially suspecting it might have been a robbery gone wrong. However, as they carefully examined the house, they noted something strange. Nothing was out of place. Valuables, cash and jewelry were untouched. This was no robbery. The autopsy reports revealed even more disturbing details. Each victim had been stabbed multiple times with a level of brutality that was shocking. Pooja had been stabbed 42 times, Vinod 18 times and Pushpa 14 times. This wasn't a random attack. It was deeply personal, a crime fueled by hatred. The police interviewed Nitin once he had recovered from his accident, asking him about the events leading up to the murders. He explained that he was returning from work when he had the bike accident and had tried calling his parents multiple times, but no one answered. It was then that he contacted his uncle to check on the house. Everything seemed to add up, but something wasn't right. The police had already checked the phone records. Contrary to Nitin's claims, there were no calls from him to his parents that night. This raised their suspicions, and under pressure, Nitin's story started to unravel. After intense interrogation, Nitin finally broke down and confessed to a crime that shocked everyone who knew the family. Nitin revealed that he killed his parents and his pregnant wife, Pooja, in cold blood. His motive was rooted in his crumbling marriage. For the first year after the wedding, everything seemed fine. But once Pooja became pregnant, she began noticing changes in Nitin's behavior. After some investigation of her own, she discovered that Nitin was having an affair with a 19-year-old girl who lived next door. Devastated, Pooja confessed it to her in-laws, Vinod and Pushpa, who confronted Nitin about the affair. They tried counseling him, hoping he would change, but instead, Nitin's bitterness towards his family grew. He couldn't bear the constant scrutiny or Pooja's pleas for him to stay loyal, so he began plotting his way out, devising a plan to get rid of his wife once and for all. On the night of the murders, an argument erupted between Nitin and Pooja in their bedroom. In a fit of rage, Nitin grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed her 42 times. Her screams echoed through the house, reaching Pushpa, who rushed upstairs to save her daughter-in-law. But as soon as Pushpa tried to intervene, Nitin turned on her, stabbing his own mother 14 times. Hearing the commotion downstairs, Vinod, who was elderly and unable to move quickly, called out to ask what was happening. Nitin, now fully consumed by rage, descended the stairs and stabbed his father 18 times. After killing his entire family, Nitin knew he had to cover his tracks. He left the house, his clothes soaked in blood, and threw the knife into a nearby bush. Then he staged his bike accident, injuring himself to create an alibi. But the truth didn't stay hidden for long. What made the case even more tragic was the final revelation. Nitin Varma wasn't Vinod's and Pushpa's biological son. He was adopted, a fact that only Vinod's brother knew. Vinod and Pushpa had raised him as their own, never treating him any differently, pouring all their love into him. And yet, the very family that gave him everything became the victims of his horrifying betrayal. On August 16, 2012, after 4 long years of investigation and trial, Nitin Varma was found guilty of the murders of his parents and his pregnant wife. On September 4, 2012, he was sentenced to death for his heinous crimes, bringing some semblance of closure to the grieving relatives. However, the story didn't end there. Nitin appealed to the High Court, and on September 6, 2013, his death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. Though spared from execution, Nitin would spend the rest of his life behind bars, leaving behind a trail of shattered lives and unanswered questions. The tragic case of Varma's family contains several important moral lessons, reflecting on family, trust, and the consequences of unchecked emotions. Number 1. The dangers of unchecked anger and resentment. Nitin's inability to control his rage, particularly towards his family, led to a horrific outcome. This shows how bottled up anger, when left unchecked, can spiral into irreversible actions. Learning to manage emotions and seeking help in time of conflict is critical. Number 2. Love and trust can be fragile. Even though Vinod and Pushpa raised Nitin as their own child with love and care, he turned on them. This raises questions about family loyalty and the complexities of family relationships, emphasizing that trust within families is precious but can also be easily shattered by selfish actions. Number 3. Accountability for one's actions. Despite his attempts to create an alibi and cover up his crimes, Nitin was eventually caught and held accountable. This illustrates that no matter how much one tries to escape the consequences, justice often finds its way. Actions, especially violent and harmful ones, have consequences that cannot be easily erased. In sum, this case highlights the tragic consequences of betrayal, unchecked anger, and the failure to seek help, offering a sobering reminder of the value of loyalty, emotional control, and accountability. Well, this is the sad story of Varma's family. That's it for now. See you in the next video.